So that first rule I want to mention is the linking with y. So basically, when we get a word that ends in what I like to call a smiley vowel, and the next word starts with any other vowel sound, we link them together with a y. So, for example, the apple, the apple, the apple, the apple. I insert a y sound in there to link them together. The second rule is with w. This time, instead of having a smiley vowel, we're going to have a rounded vowel, such as oo, ow. So my mouth is in this kind of ooh, rounded shape. If a word ends with a rounded vowel, and the next word starts with any other vowel sound, doesn't matter what, we're going to link it with a w. For example, two apples, two apples, two apples, two apples. We link it with a w in the middle. The third and final rule is when we link with a r. So if a word ends with what I like to call the in-between vowels and starts with any other vowel sound, then we link with a r. What do I mean by an in-between vowel, Emma? I basically mean that your mouth is a lot more relaxed. It's not smiley like e, and it's not rounded like ooh. It's a little bit more relaxed. They're kind of in between, let's say. So these tend to be diphthongs with schwas or schwa itself, such as ear, air, ua, or it tends to be ones like or, ah. So you see what I mean? My mouth is not e and my mouth is not oo. It's a little bit more relaxed. So for example, car alarm, car, ah, car alarm, car alarm. So here, if I say these words in isolation, that r becomes silent, but if I join them together, we link them together with a r. So, car alarm. I do have a lot more information about this kind of linking in other videos, such as my r video. I talk about, I forgot what they're called. Linking R and intrusive R, that's it. I talk about linking R and intrusive R and the difference between these two, how we use them in sentences and connected speech. So if you're interested in that, I've got more details about that in another video. I will link that in the description too. So now that we've done that recap of the 3 rules when it comes to vowel linking, let's have a look at the text itself. So as I said, part 1 of the video and part 2 of the video will include the same text, but in the first one, I'm just going to talk about vowel linking. Part 2, we'll be talking about other types of linking. Those are consonant-consonant linking and consonant-vowel linking. So the way that I'm going to do this analysis is sentence by sentence, right? So let's focus on the first sentence. Let's make a cake. Let's make a cake. Well, here we have no vowel linking, right? So let's move on to the next sentence. We need 2 eggs. 2 eggs. So here we need to make sure that we're linking with a w, because we have 2, ooh, rounded sound. 2, that's terrible, ooh, but anyway, 2 eggs. 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs. Or maybe 3 eggs. 3 eggs for this recipe. We need 2 eggs or maybe 3 eggs for this recipe. So you can hear how those two link. We've got 3, which ends with an E. Smiley vowel, E. Next one here. Let me make that dot clearer. Never mind. You understand what I mean. Now, we need some flour and sugar. We need some flour and sugar. Flour and sugar. Here we're going to link these two with a r. We need some flour and sugar. Flour ends in a schwa, okay? Depends on the accent. Some accents do pronounce the r. Here I'm focusing on RP, modern RP, where the R isn't pronounced, it's silent. But here, because we've got a vowel coming after, we're going to join them together with a r. Flour and sugar. Okay, let's lay out. Lay out. Here we've got a diphthong, A. Let's lay out all the ingredients. The ingredients. So here we've got an E and then we've got a Y linking it together. So in this little sentence here, okay, let's lay out all the ingredients. So we can see everything. Same sound as the. See everything. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to add. Actually, let me move that down there. That kind of bugs me that it's down, that it's up there. To add. So here, that was meant to be a U, an oo sound. So here we've got to add. We need to add some butter. Right, we're ready to start. Here we've got no vowel connection. First, we need to put the butter and sugar. Here we're going to link butter and sugar. So here, we're going to link it with a r. The same with flourin, butterin. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. So, next sentence. Then we add the eggs. Here we have, whoops, we don't have a line. We have the eggs. Then we add the eggs. After it's, so after ends with a schwa. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. Mix it all before adding. So before, we have this O vowel. Before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Put it in the oven. That's meant to be an E. The oven for around. So here, I'm using the weak form of for. I'm not saying for around, but for. Even if we use the strong form or, it would still link with a r, okay, because it's one of those in-between vowels that I mentioned. So here, we're just going to use the weak form with a schwa, for around. Going to link with a r. 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Insert a skewer. So a skewer is kind of like a wooden stick that you use for barbecues and things like that. So insert a skewer into. Skewer ends with a schwa here, the sound. Skewer into. It's going to link with a r. Insert a skewer into the cake to check it's cooked. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. Exactly the same situation we have up here with for around, for a bit. The same thing happens. So let it cool for a bit. 5 minutes should be enough. Be enough. We're going to link it with another ya. Be enough. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. 5 minutes should be enough. Now it's time to eat. So now, ow is a diphthong. Now it's with a w. Time to eat with a w. Now it's time to eat. So let's read this all together, just in case I've missed any. If I have missed any, do let me know in the comments. It's not a serious problem or anything like that, but it's always good to know if I do miss any. I'll read it all the way through. So, let's make a cake. We need 2 eggs, or maybe 3 eggs for this recipe. We need 2 eggs, or maybe 3 eggs for this recipe. Now we need some flour and sugar. One question I get asked a lot is about this connection with w. okay? I'm going to talk about that in another lesson. I'm not going to talk about it here, but w is not considered a vowel sound according to the IPA chart, the British phonemic chart. Here, now does end with a vowel. It ends with a diphthong, actually, but we, w, in we, is not considered a vowel. So I'm just mentioning that because a lot of my private students mention that and they think, oh, there's a connection there. It's something I want to talk about in another lesson, but here technically it's not vowel linking. Technically it's vowel consonant linking that we're doing here, right? So something else. So that's just that. I wanted to clarify that before I had people asking me in the comments. So now we need some flour and sugar. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to add some butter. We need to add some butter. Right, we're ready to start. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. Here, actually, I missed one. Sugar in. It's another schwa. That's why we went through, we needed to check. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. Mix them together. Then we add the eggs. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Put it in the oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Put it in the oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Insert a skewer into the keg to check it's cooked. Insert a skewer into the cake to check it's cooked. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. 5 minutes should be enough. 5 minutes should be enough. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to eat. And that's that. And that's it for this analysis. I hope you enjoyed. Let's start with consonant vowel linking. Basically, whenever you get a word that ends with a consonant sound and the next word starts with a vowel sound, you just move that consonant over to the start of the next word. Easy peasy. For example, I need it. I need it. I need it. So that d from need moves over to the start of the next word and creates it. I need it. If you say it slowly, it sounds a bit weird because it sounds like I need it or I need it, and people may think, what's dit? So you've got to say it quite quickly. I need it. I need it. Now, when it comes to consonant linking, it can get a little bit more complicated, but in this video, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. The thing that I'm going to focus on is when two consonant sounds are very similar in position in the mouth. So, for example, if you have two similar sounds, such as two alveolar sounds, then you may join them together and essentially you don't pronounce the first one, you hold it and then you release it on the next sound. For example, I need them, I need them, I need them. So here, instead of saying I need them, and I'm releasing that duh, because duh and the are pronounced in quite similar positions in the mouth, I can just go straight to that th and hold that duh. I need them. I need them. Cases where the sound is the same at the end and at the beginning of the word, basically you just continue that sound. For example, this scene, this scene, this scene, this scene. So you notice I don't separate the words, I just keep the sound going. It becomes almost like one word. You just join them together. This scene. So those are the main points that I want to talk about when it comes to connecting consonants together. So as a little recap, if they are pronounced in a similar part of the mouth, such as they're both pronounced at the front or they're both pronounced with the lips, you're going to see cases of that, like for example, some butter, some butter. I don't say some butter and I release the ma, but I hold it and I just release it with the ba, some butter. You're going to see that in this analysis. Or if they are the same sound, we just keep the sound going. That's basically it. As I did say, there are other cases of connected speech when it comes to consonant-consonant linking. You will see that when I do this analysis, because I'm actually filming this intro after doing the analysis, that I do come across where the consonant sound changes at the end of words, and I tried to explain it in the video, but midway I was thinking this is a huge mistake, I'm going to confuse a lot of people. I do have a video planned where I want to talk about when a consonant sound completely changes and it is essentially influenced by the consonant starting the next word. Please don't get too confused by it. I will create another video to clarify it and make it loads more clearer, hopefully, than I do in the video. But anyway, that's that. Let's just get started with the analysis. Enjoy. Clapping with syncing. That wasn't right. Okay, now let's have a look at the text together and do an analysis. So remember, I'm only going to focus on consonant-consonant and consonant-vowel linking in this analysis. If you're looking for vowel-vowel linking, I talk about that in part 1, so I will leave a video to that in the description. Anyway, let's have a look at this text together. So if you've already watched part 1, this text will be very familiar to you. Like, it is the same text, I've not changed anything. I'm just analysing it from a different perspective. So here, let's start with the first sentence. Let's make a cake. Let's make a cake. Let's make a cake. We're going to take that ka here and we're going to move it to the beginning of the next word. So let's make a cake. Let's make a cake. We need 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs. This da here, I'm basically going to hold it and I'm just going to release it as a ta. So we need 2. We need 2. Not we need 2. You could say it like that, that's okay. But as we're analysing connected speech, it makes sense to talk about this. So we need 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs. Or maybe 3 eggs for this recipe. There's no other consonant-consonant or consonant-vowel linking there. Now we need some flour and sugar. Now we need some flour and sugar. Here, this is something I mentioned in part 1 and I didn't really address it. I just said this is something that happens, but I didn't explain what happened really. So now is the diphthong sound that we have there. So now we. What I'm doing here is I'm joining them together. So now we need some flour and sugar. Now we need some flour and sugar. Now we need some, so here, need some, I'm not releasing that da, I'm holding it, and then I'm moving straight to the sa. Need some. Now we need some flour and sugar. Now this isn't a feature of connected speech, but it is a feature of rapid speech. I'm going to remove this little da over here. Now, I'm not really going to explain in so much detail why in this video, because I do have another video that talks all about why we remove the ta and da at the end of words and when we do that and what happens, etc. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. If you're watching in the future and that video has already come out, I will link it down in the description, but if not, you're going to have to wait, sorry. So now we need some flour and sugar. Flour and sugar. Okay, let's lay out the ingredients. So these two come together as well because they're pronounced in a similar part of the mouth. We're using the alveolar area, the alveolar ridge. So let's lay out. Let's lay out. So here as well, lay out all the ingredients. Lay out all the ingredients. I'm moving the ta over to the next word because it starts with a vowel. All the ingredients. These two are pronounced in very very similar positions in the mouth. So I'm going to hold that dark L. So that is a dark L up here. That's the symbol. I have a video all about the light and dark L, which you can take a look at. I'll also put that in the description too. My description is going to be full of links to videos, but I guess that's good. It means that they're all coming together nicely. So let's lay out all the ingredients. All the ingredients. Not all the ingredients. My tongue stays up and then it just goes straight to the voiced TH. Again, I have a video about that. I'll link that down below as well. So ingredients, so. Ingredients, so. These two are the same sound, s and s. They're going to come together. We're not going to break them and separate them. We're going to keep them together like a happy little couple and pronounce it almost like one word, so it becomes like ingredients, so. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients, so. So we can see. Here, I'm going to hold that n in position, and I'm just going to slide my tongue straight into a s. So it sounds like can see. I don't release that N and then move on to the next word. So it's not like we can see. We can see. We can see. We can see everything. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm going to remove that t. I'm not going to explain why. I'm going to keep you in suspense for another video, but there is a video coming all about removing t and d at the end of words. So I'm going to completely remove that. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to add, so here, these two, because they're pronounced in similar parts of the mouth, we're going to hold that d and we're just going to release it as a t. Exactly the same up here. Need to. Okay, so we need to add some. These are going to come together. We need to add some. We need to add some. We need to add some butter. These two are going to come together as well. We've got m and b. They're both pronounced with the lips. So we're going to keep the mouth closed and then just release it as a b. Some butter. We need to add some butter. Right, we're ready to start. I don't think anything happens here. Nope. Okay, that's good. If I do miss out any connecting here, I mean, not relating to vowel connecting, but if I miss out any other connecting in here, then do forgive me, because there is a lot of connecting in this text that I've put together. Like, I've actually done this text, so I should know where all the linking is, but sometimes I just forget because there's so much. So do feel free to ask questions in the comments and point out if I missed any. So anyway, next sentence. First we need. We're going to cut that t again. First we need to, we're going to put those together. Need to put the, so not put the. First we need to put the butter and, remove that da, butter and sugar in the. So you notice what I'm doing all the time when we have these sounds that are quite similar to each other. That first one tends to be held and then we just release it as the next sound. This doesn't always happen, of course. There will probably be a case where it doesn't happen here, but it's a very simple way to explain what's happening here. So hold that first sound and then just release it as the next sound in the next word. So first we need to put the butter and sugar in the, okay, bowl. Mix them together. You could even say that those two come together. Mix them. I would say they kind of join. Mix them. Because I'm not really moving my tongue when I do the s. So this is like a combination, this ks sound, them. Mix them. I feel though that this one is more of like a palatal S rather than an alveolar S. mix. I feel that one's more palatal. I feel I'm not really connecting those as much because I'm pronouncing this S as something more palatal rather than alveolar. So I will leave that one for now, but I will leave that there as like a little explanation. Then we add the, those two come together, add the eggs. After it's all, that's going to move over here. It's all, mixed together. Another combination there of da and ta. Mixed together. We put the flour in. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. I don't think I've got any other linking there. Mix it all. Ah, yes, of course, the vowel over here. So mix it all. That's also going to link as well. Mix it all. I didn't even have that link in my notes. There's another cheeky hidden link there. So mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. No other linking there. So put it, we're going to move that over here. Put it in, that's also going to move over here. Put it in the, these two are going to link together because they're similar positions in the mouth. In the, put it in the oven. Put it in the oven. So all these consonants are going to move to the beginning of the next word. And then we've got in the. Put it in the oven. Put it in the oven for around 30. So here, 30 starts with a th, starts with a voiceless th. Around 30. I don't release the D. I hold it and I just pronounce the th. 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. This kind of linking here, I want to talk about it in another video. Should I talk about it now? Yeah, okay, I will talk about it now, just because I feel like I've left you in a lot of suspense already with some topics. So, golden brown. What happens here, you will see that I'm actually changing this sound here to a m, right? Golden brown. This happens with 3 different sounds, with t, d, and n. I should know, it's right here. And what happens is, when the next word starts with any other consonant sound, it doesn't matter which one, the sound changes so that it's similar to what the next word starts with. So, for example, here we've got n. Okay, that's one of our 3 sounds that can change at the end of words. Brown. So brown, we have a b sound, b. Another sound that's similar to b, so another bilabial sound, is p and m, of course. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this n and I'm going to change it so that it's similar sounding to this b here. Now, because n is a nasal, I feel like I'm going to lose you here. I'm going to confuse you. I'm sorry. I will talk about it in more detail in another video, right? Okay. But here, this n, because it's nasal, we're going to change it to this. Okay. B and p are not nasal sounds. N is nasal. M is nasal. M is similar to b. It is in the collection of one of the 3 sounds that we can change if it's at the end of a word and the next word starts with another consonant sound. So I'm going to change the n to a m. I really hope I didn't lose you there with that explanation. I will talk about it in loads more detail in another video. Just pronounce it as a m for now if you didn't understand, or a n. It doesn't really matter so much, but that's the explanation of that. I'll talk about it in more detail in the future in another video. I think it deserves its own video. So here, put the, put it in the oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Insert a, insert a. We're going to move that t to the beginning of the next word. Insert a skewer into the cake. Into the cake to check it's, to check it's, to check it's cooked. When it's ready, we're going to move that n over. When it's ready, let it cool. We're going to move that over to the next word. So let it cool, for a bit, cool for a bit. No other link in there. 5 minutes. Notice here, I'm not breaking these. Minutes should. I join them together. Nice little sound effect there. So minutes should. Those come together because they're pronounced in similar parts of the mouth. So minutes should be enough. Should be enough. Should be. That becomes like a m sound. Again, for the same reason up here, we're changing that sound. I will talk about it in another video in more detail. Please don't worry about it or be too confused about it. Take it as a little introduction and preparation for that video when it comes out. So should be enough. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to eat. I don't think there's any other linking there. It's time. No, I got it in my notes that these two link. It's time. Because they're pronounced in similar positions in the mouth. They're both alveolar sounds. So I think I managed to get all of the things I wanted to talk about. Again, if I have missed any other points of linking in here, then I'm sorry. Do let me know in the comments and I can clarify, yep, that's something I missed out, or no, that's nothing to do with this video, whatever. Do let me know, forgive me. So let's go through this together. I'll read it normally and I'll kind of say it like I did in part 1, a bit slower, then you can hear that connected speech happening. Let's make a cake. Let's make a cake. We need 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs. Or maybe 3 eggs for this recipe. Now we need some flour and sugar. Now we need some flour and sugar. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Woo! A lot of linking in that sentence. Especially when you start to include the vowel linking. Okay, let's lay out all the ingredients so we can see everything. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to add some butter. Right, we're ready to start. First, we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. So here, I think I accidentally separated them, but first we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. There we go, that sounded a lot more natural. I went into like a very teacher mode then, I don't know what happened, my brain switched. So first we need to put the butter and sugar in the bowl. Mix them together. I'm still debating about whether this is too palatal. It's too palatal with that S for it to link. Mix them. I'm debating that one. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. That's going to be the controversial one in this video. So mix them together. Then we add the eggs. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. After it's all mixed together, we put the flour in. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Mix it all before adding the mixture to a baking tin. Put it in the oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Put it in the oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until golden brown. Insert a skewer into the cake to check it's cooked. Insert a skewer into the cake to check it's cooked. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. When it's ready, let it cool for a bit. 5 minutes should be enough. 5 minutes should be enough. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to eat. I think that's it. I think I managed to get all of my linking. As I said, if I forgot any, let me know in the comments, and yes, I will reply to them and let you know whether I did miss them or not. So that's that. When it comes to consonant vowel connected speech, it's really simple. Basically, when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word starts with a vowel sound, we move that consonant over to the beginning of the next word. For example, an apple, an apple. So instead of saying an apple, I shift that n over to the start of the next word. So it sounds like napple, napple, an apple, an apple. Another example, I love oranges. I love oranges, oranges. I love oranges. So you see how that the in love moves over to the beginning of the next word. I love oranges. Here are some more examples for you. Feel free to listen and repeat. I finish work at 8. I finish work at 8. Work at 8. Work at 8. So you see how these link together and that consonant shifts over to the beginning of the next word. I finish work at 8. I finish work at 8. Another example. I ate it all. 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 Another example. I went on a plane. 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 Now this one's a bit trickier because now we've got 3 points where we're going to connect them. I went out at 11. 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 And that's it for this video. And that is the linking R. This means that when we have a R, so we have an R at the end of a word, and the next word starts with a vowel sound, we can link them together with a R sound. For example, in car alarm, car on its own, I wouldn't pronounce the R normally, okay? Some accents may, I personally don't. Car alarm. However, in rapid speech, this would come together and we would use the linking R. Car alarm, car alarm, car alarm. Now the third and final rule is when we do actually pronounce it, and we pronounce the R when we have an R and then we have a vowel coming after it. For example, in the word hairy, hairy. Notice the position, getting that peanut butter, taking that pouty selfie. Hairy, hairy, hairy. Another is foreign, foreign, foreign. And the last one here, horror, horror, horror. So notice that I pronounce the one in the middle. I pronounce those 2 R's in the middle because they are between vowels, but I don't pronounce that final one because it's at the end. Now this video wouldn't be complete without some sentences for us to practice, so what I've got here are a mixture of sentences where we pronounce the R and where the R is silent. Before you ask in the comments, even though I say that the R is silent in some of these words, you can still pronounce it. It doesn't matter. And as I said, there are many accents across the UK where they do pronounce the R. So don't worry too much about it. Roy has a red car. Roy has a red car. Roy has a red car. Where were you on Thursday? Where were you on Thursday? Where were you on Thursday? The program starts at 3. The program starts at 3. The program starts at 3. It's far away. It's far away. It's far away. So in this example, I am using the linking R. Normally, we would say far, but here, because away starts with a vowel, we're going to link it with a R. It's far away. It's far away. And that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've learned something. We're going to talk about what assimilation is in this video and 4 different cases where we do use assimilation using this sound here, the y sound. So yes, let's get started. And there's an ambulance, of course. So assimilation is when you get 2 sounds and one of them changes to make it easier to pronounce the next sound. So what sometimes happens is just one sound may change or both sounds may change. That's assimilation in a nutshell. You can hear assimilation happen within a word or in between words, in sentences. Today we're going to be looking at the latter, so we're just going to be looking at sentences. I think I'll leave the word one for another video. I must also say that it's not crucial for you to use assimilation when you're speaking, but it is important for your listening skills because it is used quite a lot. So don't worry about trying to use it in your own speech, just be aware of it for your own listening comprehension. So the first case that I want to talk about is this one here, with d and y. So what can happen when we get d and y together is they combine and they create a j sound. So here's an example. Did you go? Did you go? So I could say, did you go? That's okay. But you may hear some speakers saying, did ya? Did ya? Did you go? Did you go? Another example is, would you like to start? Would ya? Would ya? Would you like to start? You can say, would ya? Would you like to start? That's okay. But some speakers may say, would ya? Would you like to start? The second case is instead of da, we're going to change it to a t. So whenever you get a t, y combination, you may get a ch sound in there. For example, can't you do it? Can't you do it? Can't you do it? So notice instead of saying can't you do it, I combine them to create a ch. Can't you? Can't you do it? Can't you do it? Another example, that dress doesn't suit you. Suit you. Suit you. So I could say suit you, that dress doesn't suit you, or that dress doesn't suit you. That dress doesn't suit you. The third case is with s plus y. This time we're going to get a sh sound. For example, the boss makes you work a lot. The boss makes you. The boss makes you work a lot. Again, you could say the boss makes you. That's okay. But some speakers may say makes you. The boss makes you work a lot. Another example. Is this yours? Is this yours? Is this yours? So instead of is this yours? Is this yours? Is this yours? And the last one is with z instead of s. So if we get this combination of z and y together, we may get a j sound. For example, please use this. Please use this. Please use this. Now, this one here, you can again say please use, that is fine, though you may hear some speakers saying please use this, please use this. And the last example, as usual, the meeting went well. As usual, the meeting went well. Again, you could say as usual, as usual. That's not right. You could say as usual, but in rapid speech you may hear some speakers saying as usual, as usual, as usual, the meeting went well. And that's that. So let's do a little bit of listening and repeating practice because I know you guys really like it. So I'm just going to repeat the phrases that we've talked about in this video. So feel free to listen and repeat. Did you go? Did you go? Did you go? Would you like to start? Would you like to start? Would you like to start? Can't you do it? Can't you do it? Can't you do it? That dress doesn't suit you. That dress doesn't suit you. That dress doesn't suit you. The boss makes you work a lot. The boss makes you work a lot. The boss makes you work a lot. Is this yours? Is this yours? Is this yours? Please use this. Please use this. Please use this. As usual, the meeting went well. As usual, the meeting went well. As usual, the meeting went well. And that's that. Okay, so let's start firstly with what is assimilation. In very, very simple terms, assimilation is when one sound changes so that it's easier to connect or it's easier to pronounce the sound that's after it. Quite often what happens with assimilation is it's the first sound that changes. I'll give you an example. Let's take the sentence, is that clear? Notice that I'm not saying, is that clear? Is that clear? I'm not really pronouncing that T. Listen to how I pronounce it quickly. Is that clear? Is that clear? So notice I'm changing that T into more of a K sound. I'm pronouncing it back here. This is assimilation. So we're changing that T sound to make it easier to transition to the K. The next question, when is assimilation used? Assimilation is used mostly in rapid speech. So if we take our example, is that clear? I can say it quite clearly, ironically. I can pronounce the letters clearly when I say it slowly. However, if I try to say it quickly, is that clear? Is that clear? Or even quicker. Is that clear what I said? It's really quite tricky to do. So to make it easier to transition and easy to pronounce, we can change some of the sounds. Is that clear? And the last question, why do we use assimilation? Well, as I've already said, in theory, it should make it easier to transition between sounds. Have you ever found that when you're speaking English, you realize that you're getting a bit tongue-tied and you're thinking, how is it that these words are so hard to pronounce? I listen to native speakers and they're just pronouncing these words with no problems, like with zero effort. Well, it's because you're probably trying to pronounce all of the sounds. You're trying to enunciate every single sound so that when you're speaking at a quicker speed, it's actually quite difficult to do that. There are little tricks that native speakers use, such as removing sounds in consonant clusters, removing sounds at the end of words to make it easier, and changing the sounds, which is assimilation. That's what we're looking at today. So if you find that you're getting quite tongue-tied when you're trying to speak in English quickly, this lesson is great for you. It's going to help you so much. Now let's have a look at how and why these sounds change. We're just going to look at T, D, N, or T, D, and N for the letters today. So think about that example we looked at earlier. Is that clear? We know that in rapid speech, this is going to change to, is that clear? Is that clear? We change that T at the end to a K sound because the next word starts with a k. Now, essentially what we're doing is we're just changing the position in this case. Is that clear? We're just pronouncing it here. We're changing the position of the tongue so that we anticipate the following sound, that k in clear. Take a look at this one. I bought a new handbag. Handbag. Notice I'm not saying handbag. I bought a new handbag. So we're cutting that D. We'll talk about why we're doing that later, but we're cutting that D. We change that position from n to and then we get something more like an M. Handbag. Handbag. Here's another one. What's your song called? What's your... Now, we've got some assimilation there. We're not going to focus on that today, but just know that that can change as well. What's your, instead of what's your. It's quite hard to say. What's your song called? Now, notice I'm not saying, what's your son, son called. That's hard to say. Song called. It's that same that you get in words like sing, thing, and so on. So now we're changing that n in sun to because the next word starts with a k. So we change the position of so it's like the following sound. So it's like that k, and then it becomes an sound. So we're not changing the type of voicing here. Notice that when we have a t at the end, we're not changing it to a d. We're not changing the voicing in any way. We're only changing the position. So if you take a nasal sound, like in sun, this is a nasal. It's coming through the nose. We're still keeping the nasality, but we're just changing the position. So don't think, oh my goodness, there are endless possibilities with this one. It's really not that complicated, don't worry. All we're doing is just changing the position of the tongue or the lips. That's it. The voicing and nasality does not change. Now a little sip of my coffee. You know what? This is a Christmas mug. Can you see that? Might be a bit too bright. I've had this Christmas mug for a while. Quite a few years, actually. And I use it even though it's not Christmas. Let's have a practice together. I'm going to put a sentence on the screen. I'd like you to repeat after me and have a think about which sounds change. I know that person. I know that person. So notice that person, we're changing that final T in that, to more of a P sound. That person. We're linking them together. You should come. You should come. So notice, we're changing that D at the end of should. Instead of saying you should come, you should come. We're changing that position of da, which is at the front of the mouth, da, to that k. Change a da to the position of a k. What do we get? G. So we're keeping that voicing. You should come. So it sounds kind of like a g. We're not releasing it as a g. We're not saying you should come, but you should come. Hold it, then release it on the k sound, on that second sound. 10% of people agree. 10% of people agree. So again, notice, not 10%. That's quite hard to say. 10%. Change that n to the position of a p. If we change n to the position of a p, what sound do we get? 10%. And remember, hold it and then release it on the second sound. 10%. 10%. I love going to art galleries. I love going to art galleries. Now, is this a gallery of art or a gallery of arc? So we're changing that T in art galleries. Art galleries. Think about galleries. It starts with that G. We're going to change the T to the position of a G. And what does that give us? K. Art galleries. We hold it, release it on the G. art galleries. Watch out for this one. We've got two in here. This could be done better. This could be done better. So the could be, we're going to change that da into the position of a ba. So what does that give us? Could be. Could be. The same with done better. Change that na into the position of a ba. What do we get? Done better. Done better. So said quickly, we've got this could be done better. Here's our final sentence. Then go away. Then go away. So that na, then go, then change that na into the position of a ga, like we have in go. What do we get? Then go, then go. Notice as well what's also happening here. Go away. Emma, I hear that you're adding another sound in there. What's happening? So this is another way of connecting speech in English. Here we've looked at assimilation and changing sounds, but sometimes what can happen in English is we can add sounds. Now this tends to happen mostly with vowel sounds, so please don't worry. And I have a full video all about it, so go and check that out if you want to know more about vowel-vowel connected speech. If you've watched this far, I'd like you to tell me if you use Christmas mugs, and if you do you use Christmas mugs outside of Christmas like I do? Let me know in the comments.
Now, usually I teach 3 rules when I talk about vowel-vowel connected speech, but in this lesson I'm going to teach you 4, and I will explain why later. So let's start firstly with what is vowel-vowel connected speech and why does it happen? In English, when a word ends with a vowel and then the next word starts with a vowel, we connect the 2 words together by inserting another sound. We do this because it makes it easier to transition from one sound to the other sound. Now let's start with rule number 1. Listen carefully to this sentence and tell me what sound I'm using to connect the 2 words together. They are late. They are late. I'm inserting a ya sound there. So they are late becomes they are late. They are late. The reason for this is because the first word ends with a smiley sound. So your mouth is kind of smiling as you do it. They are. They are. Here are some more examples. Did you see it? Did you see it? See it. We add a y there because we have see it. Did you see it? Today is Friday. Today is Friday. Now for rule number 2. I'm going to say another sentence and I'd like you to think about the sound that I use to connect the 2 words together. I need to eat. I need to eat. To eat. This time I'm connecting them with a w sound. To eat. This time we're adding a w sound in between the words because the first vowel is a rounded oo vowel. So anytime your mouth is really round and really closed, like oo, ow, oh, ooh, this kind of shape, we link it to the next vowel with a w. Here are some more examples. I need to open it. I need to open it. I need to open it. It's too early. It's too early. It's too early. Now for rule number 3. We know that with rule number 1, we link with a y sound because our mouth is smiley with the first vowel. We know with rule number 2, we link with a w because our mouth is really round and small like this. But rule number 3 has what I like to call in-between vowels. So think about it like this. Your mouth isn't smiley and your mouth isn't round like this. It's in between. For example, Emma and John. We're going to say this as Emma and John. Notice what sound I'm adding. Emma and John. I'm linking that in-between vowel, the schwa at the end of Emma, with a r sound. Emma and John. Let's practice with some more examples. I love watching Law and Order. Law and Order. So notice in order, the two R's are actually silent, but we connect law and with that r, the linking R, because the sound O, it isn't oo, it's not really small and round, and it's not E, it's not smiley, it's in between. Law and Order. I love watching Law and Order. Law and Order, by the way, is a really popular TV series, so if you like kind of legal dramas and things, then you might be interested in this. Here's another sentence. I love pizza and chips. Pizza and chips. I love pizza and chips. Please be mindful here that we are thinking of sound and not spelling. For example, if you see a word like law or draw, you may think, well, it ends with the letter W, therefore we link it with a W. But actually, if you think about the vowel sound, draw, law, it's not oo, it's not E, it's in between. So with these words, we actually link it with a R. So in a sentence, I draw every day sounds like I draw every day. And law and order sounds like law and order. And finally, we have rule number 4. This rule links very closely to rule number 3. And usually when I teach these rules, I just put rules 3 and 4 together. But in this lesson, I've separated them because I want to teach you about the intrusive R and the linking R. So rule number 3 looked at the intrusive R. Now we're going to look at the linking R. Now in most British English accents, words that end with an R or RE have a silent R, so we don't pronounce the R at the end. For example, doctor, centre, father, far. I don't say doctor, centre, father, farm. Sounds a lot more American when I pronounce the R. In most British English accents, we don't pronounce it. It's just either a schwa or it's a long vowel sound. However, when the next word starts with a vowel sound, we actually pronounce that final R. So instead of saying, the doctor is here, we say, the doctor is here. The doctor is here. The centre of the city. The centre of the city. My father is old. My father is old. I live far away. I live far away. So all of these are examples of the linking R. So right now, maybe you're thinking, but Emma, if rule number 3 and rule number 4 both link with a R sound, then what's the difference between the intrusive R and the linking R? Why do they have 2 different names? So yes, the linking R and the intrusive R both use the R sound to connect the 2 sounds together. But the only difference is that the intrusive R is used to talk about words which do not end with an R or RE. For example, pizza. Pizza doesn't end with a R or an R, but when we say it in a sentence, we say pizza and chips. It's like intruding is that R sound. It's sneaking in there. While the linking R is used to talk about words which do contain the letter R or RE. For example, far, far away. Now we're just simply pronouncing that R because we're linking it to the next vowel sound. While reading, I'd like you to think about the sounds that we use to connect the words together. Then afterwards in the analysis, you can check your answers. Remember, you can download the free PDF version of the story if you'd like to make notes as we go along. A trip to London. One sunny day in Oxford, Emma and John decided to go on a day trip to London. They wanted to eat lots of tasty food and see all the amazing sights. Come on, let's go, John said, putting his things into his bag. I'm ready, Emma replied. They set off and made their way to the train station, which wasn't too far away from their home. Luckily, they arrived just in time to catch their train. After a few hours, they arrived in the centre of London. They started by visiting the Tower of London and walking around the area. John wanted to take a picture of Big Ben, so Emma and John walked down the river towards it. After seeing some of the amazing sights around London, they decided to eat something inside a cute little restaurant. Emma ordered some pizza and chips, while John ordered some spaghetti and bread rolls. After eating, they decided to see a few more of the sights before heading back home. While on the train heading back to Oxford, Emma and John looked at the amazing photographs they had taken that day. They agreed to visit London again soon. Now we're going to analyse this story together, and I will explain the rules as I go along. So let's start with the first sentence. We have one sunny day in Oxford. We're going to link this with a y sound. So the symbol we're using is this. It's the same y as in yes. Y, y, y. Sunny day in Oxford. Emma and John. Emma and John. We're going to link these with a r. Emma and John decided to go on. Go. It's very round there. Go on a day trip to London. They wanted to eat. Very round. To eat. Lots of tasty. There's a fly. Lots of tasty food. And see y'all. See y'all. The amazing. Now I'm really exaggerating here, but naturally it would sound like they wanted to eat lots of tasty food and see all the amazing sights. So you notice that y sound there. We're basically saying it at the start of the next word. So day in, Emma, go on, to eat, see your. The amazing. Add that linking sound to the beginning of the next word. Next we have, come on, let's go, John said, putting his things into his bag. Now you may be thinking, Emma, I've got you here because there's a and that's not a vowel. No, it's not a vowel. But with this particular word here, what we can do is we can weaken it when we're speaking quickly. So instead of saying into his bag and making it very strong, we weaken this and just say is. Into his bag. Into his bag. Putting his things into his bag. Because we have removed that h sound, we're then just left with the vowel. So we connect the two vowels together, into his bag. Then we have, they set off and made their way to the train station, which wasn't too far away. So here it's just a linking R. If we go back up here with Emma and John, this is the intrusive R. Why is this the intrusive R? Because Emma isn't spelt with an R. Down here though, far away, we do have the letter R. So this is the linking R. Pronounced the same way, we still link with a R, but we're following slightly different rules here. So we say, wasn't too far away from their home. Then we have, they arrived. Luckily, they arrived just in time. They arrived just in time. After a few hours, so few, we got that ooh, very round sound, few hours. And here you might be thinking, again, Emma, but there's an H here. Why? Why are we linking with a W? Again, we need to think of sound here. We're not looking at the spelling. So here, hours actually starts with ow, ow. It's a vowel sound. This is silent. I'm going to say this is H. Of course it's an H. But it's silent. It's a silent letter. So after a few hours, they arrived in the centre of, we're just using that linking R, centre of London. They started by visiting the Tower of London, around the area and walking around the area. So add that R at the end here, Tower of, walking around the area, John wanted to take a picture of Big Ben. So Emma and John walk down the river towards it. Here we've got the linking R, just spat on my laptop. We've got the linking R because we actually have we have the letter R. Here it's the intrusive R because there's no R in the spelling. Yeah, it's just Emma. It's just a schwa. Emma and John. After seeing some of the amazing sights around London, they decided to eat something inside a cute little restaurant. Emma ordered intrusive R because we have the schwa here, so relaxed in between kind of sound. Emma ordered, this one here is actually silent, yeah, and it's just one vowel. Ordered. This is also silent. Emma ordered some pizza and chips. Notice as well, it's not related to this lesson, but notice I'm not saying pizza and chips. I'm not saying the D. I can cut it, yeah? Pizza and chips. And here, spaghetti, we're smiling, spaghetti and bread rolls. Here we can remove this again, spaghetti and bread rolls. After eating, they decided to see a few more of the sights before heading back home. While on the train heading back to Oxford, Emma and John looked at the amazing photographs. So here again, we're doing what we did before. We're not saying they had taken that day, where it's all stress, strong, okay? We're using the weak form here. So had is the strong form, but ud with the schwa, it looks like the same letter, but that's a D, and that's a schwa. Ud, they'd. Photographs they had taken that day. Because we now remove this H, and we just have ud, we have the vowel sound there, so we link the two vowels together. They had taken that day. Then our final sentence, they agreed. They agreed to visit London again soon. So as I mentioned before, a little trick is to add that linking sound to the beginning of the next word. So, day in Oxford, Emma and John, go one. We're adding those linking sounds to the start of the next word, and this makes it sound much more natural. So let's now read through one more time. A trip to London. One sunny day in Oxford, Emma and John decided to go on a day trip to London. They wanted to eat lots of tasty food and see all the amazing sights. Come on, let's go, John said, putting his things into his bag. I'm ready, Emma replied. They set off and made their way to the train station, which wasn't too far away from their home. Luckily, they arrived just in time to catch their train. After a few hours, they arrived in the centre of London. They started by visiting the Tower of London and walking around the area. John wanted to take a picture of Big Ben, so Emma and John walked down the river towards it. After seeing some of the amazing sights around London, they decided to eat something inside a cute little restaurant. Emma ordered some pizza and chips, while John ordered some spaghetti and bread rolls. After eating, they decided to see a few more of the sights before heading back home. While on the train heading back to Oxford, Emma and John looked at the amazing photographs they had taken that day. They agreed to visit London again soon. And that's the end of today's English pronunciation.
So this is the text that we're going to look at together. It's called Emma in Spain. It's about my own life experience. And I have written this very, very carefully to highlight certain features of rapid speech, such as assimilation and connected speech. So we're going to talk about those things together. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to read it first, just at a normal speed. Then I will read it slowly. You can hear then how I connect everything together. And then we're going to go through the analysis together. Feel free to also use this as a shadowing activity, so you can listen, pause and repeat, or you can listen and repeat and follow the text without pausing, whatever you want to do. So let's get started with reading it. Emma in Spain. Around this time, 10 years ago,
I left my home country for the first time in my life. I was thinking about going to Canada or the USA. But no. Instead, I moved to Spain during the second year of my degree to study there. I studied in Tarragona, a city in Catalonia. Originally, I was only supposed to go for 1 term, but the coordinator messed up and accidentally put 1 year on the form. My first semester there was tough. I felt like I didn't really fit in. The other students used to ask me if I wanted to go out, but I didn't want to. In the second semester, I decided to make some friends with some local Catalan girls. They all showed me some very interesting things about the culture, and I really enjoyed my second semester. After my year was up, I had to move back to England to finish my degree. Now, 10 years later, I'm back in Spain and living in my dream city, Barcelona. Now we're going to read through it slowly. Emma in Spain. Around this time, 10 years ago, I left my home country for the first time in my life. I was thinking about going to Canada or the USA, but no. Instead, I moved to Spain during the second year of my degree to study there. I studied in Tarragona, a city in Catalonia. Originally, I was only supposed to go for 1 term, but the coordinator messed up and accidentally put 1 year on the form. My first semester there was tough. I felt like I didn't really fit in. The other students used to ask me if I wanted to go out, but I didn't want to. In the second semester, I decided to make some friends with some local Catalan girls. They all showed me some interesting things about the culture, and I really enjoyed my second semester. After my year was up, I had to move back to England to finish my degree. Now, 10 years later, I'm back in Spain and living in my dream city, Barcelona. Now, I just want to quickly mention that if you heard me connecting things in different ways compared to how I read it at normal speed and slower speed, then just know you're not crazy. Sometimes we can connect things in different ways depending on the speed that we are speaking, depending on our accents, where we're from, the context, what we're talking about, and so on. So if you hear like, oh, Emma, I felt like you connected that bit and you didn't connect it the first time you read it, just know that that's normal. A person can read the same text twice at the same speed and connect it slightly differently. Just know that you're not going crazy if you're hearing linking and not hearing it. I hope that makes sense. So now it's time for the analysis part. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go through the rules and things in great detail here. If you want the rules in more detail, they are in the videos below, linked in the description. I'm just going to go through and analyze it and talk about some of the connected speech and assimilation features and so on. So, starting with the first part, around this time. So you'll notice that I am not pronouncing this D. Around this time. I'm connecting these two together as well. Around this time. I'm not stopping with this time. So it's not around this time. We're connecting them together. Around this time. 10 years ago. So we've got that nice ny sound. 10 years ago. Years ago. We're going to take that final consonant sound and move it over to the start of the next word because it starts with a vowel. So all together here we have around this time 10 years ago. I left my home country. We're going to remove this T. We're going to remove this T because we have consonant, T, consonant. So if at the end of the first word we have consonant T, we can remove that T if the next word starts with another consonant sound. We also do this with the sound D. So if you have consonant D, consonant, then we can remove that D at the end of a word as well. You'll see how I do it later. So I left my home country. I left my home country for the first time. We're removing this again because it's consonant, T, consonant. Consonant, T, consonant. It follows the same rule. For the first time we've got the consonant vowel link here. We're just going to move that consonant over to the beginning of the next word. In my life. What you'll notice here with this n is I'm not saying in my life. I'm changing it to in my life. So this here becomes a ma, in my, and we're linking it together. So this can happen sometimes with t, d, and n at the end of words when we have another consonant sound coming after it. So for example, in my becomes in my life. I was thinking. So this sound here, was. If I pronounce it with that strong form, so I'm using the weak form, was, okay? Was is with a z. If we look in the dictionary, it's a z. But what can happen is when the next word starts with a voiceless sound, instead of saying was thinking, we soften this. We change it to an unvoiced equivalent. We change it to s, was thinking, was thinking. I was thinking about, we're going to move that over, that consonant over, about going to Canada. So going to Canada or the USA. Canada or the, so we've got we're not saying Canada or, we're not using the strong form, Canada but notice what I'm putting there. Canada or the, we're adding a r sound. We're adding what's called the intrusive R. I've got a full video explaining the rules on that. I'm not going to explain them here because that could take a whole 10 minutes. But we've got an intrusive R. Canada rather. Canada rather. So take that linking sound that we have. We've got 3 linking sounds. W, y, r. We're going to take that r that we're using here to link and we're going to add it to the beginning of the next word. R. So Canada, r. Together. Canada, r. Canada, r, the USA. So you see how it all links together. But no. Instead, I moved to. So here I'm not pronouncing the D. Consonant, D, consonant is the same rule as up here. Yeah, first time I moved to. I'm not pronouncing the D. It moved to. It's quite hard to say, so we cut it. I moved to. So I'm not saying move to, ooh. Remember, we're going to use the weak form. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say weak forms, then I do have a video in the description talking about sentence stress. So please go and watch that video because this will make a lot more sense. So I moved to Spain. Spain during. So we're connecting those together, not Spain during. Spain during. Spain during the second year. So something interesting happens here. I'm not saying second year, I'm saying second year. Second year. So this duh, instead of saying second, it becomes a j. Second year. Second year. The second year of my degree. We're going to link these together with what's now called the linking R. So we have the intrusive R and we have the linking R. A super easy way to know if it's intrusive or linking, if you care to know why or what the difference is. If there is an R, so the letter R, R, an R, in the spelling towards the end of the word, it is a linking R. If there is no R in the spelling, and this includes words that end like RE, like centre, the British way of spelling of centre, right? This would be the same. This would be included in the linking R rule, all right? But it's intrusive if there is no R in the spelling. So Canada isn't spelt with an R, so it isn't considered intrusive. Okay, just a very quick recap of intrusive and linking in case you're curious what the difference is. They're pronounced the same, but they just have different names because one has the spelling and one doesn't. So second year of my degree to study there. So this d and y, I've got a video all about this. It's called Assimilation. When we get this d and y together and we combine it, it makes a j sound. This can happen in between words like second year, or it can happen within words. So for example, education or education, I can also say education. So education, education. I can do it within words as well. So that's our first paragraph. So the second paragraph, I studied in Tarragona. We're going to move that over. We're going to connect these. I studied in Tarragona. I studied in Tarragona. A city in. So like these up here where we've linked with a r, we're now going to link this with a y sound. So bear in mind that this symbol here is not a j, it's not a h, okay, if you're a Spanish speaker, but it's a y in phonetics. Y like yellow, yes, yesterday, okay? A city in. So notice I'm adding that y to the beginning of the next word. I'm saying it like yin, yin. A city in. So together, a city in. Now here, I'm not saying a city in Catalonia. I'm not saying it with a n. The same thing that's happening here is what happened up here. Alrighty? So, in Catalonia, I'm going to change this n to an sound. So, like in thing, king, sing, is this this velar nasal sound back here, in Catalonia. And we do that because we want to connect that nasal sound to the k, in Catalonia. So I'm then going to release it with the k, in Catalonia. I'm not saying in Catalonia, but in Catalonia. A city in Catalonia. Originally. So this word, I wanted to highlight it because you can say it as originally, okay, originally. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting a syllable. Originally, originally. Now I do have quite an old video that talks about when to cut syllables in words. I think I need to do a more refresher video, but I will put the old one in the description of this one so you can go and check out the rules for when we cut syllables in words, because believe me, there are rules. So what I'm doing here is originally. That's all the syllables, but I'm saying originally. So I'm kind of cutting like these ones here and squishing this. It's like originally. It's kind of something like this. But I just wanted to highlight that we can cut syllables in words, and I have a video about that in the description. Though I need to do a remake of it. I need to do a more updated version because my microphone was terrible back then. So originally, 4 syllables. I was only. Move that consonant over to the beginning of the next word because it starts with a vowel. I was only supposed to. Cut this because it's consonant T, consonant. Even though it's the letter D, it is the sound T. Supposed to. Supposed to, supposed to, supposed to. Then we join them together. I was only supposed to, not supposed to go for, supposed to go for, to go for. We're using weak forms here. One term, join these together. One term, one term. but the coordinator messed up. We're going to move that consonant over to the beginning, open. We're going to move that consonant over again. Now, what you will find with the word and is we don't say messed up and accidentally. We're going to cut the D at the end and we're going to weaken it. We're going to use the weak form. We're going to use the schwa. Messed up and accidentally. So here it becomes a schwa. Messed up and accidentally. Then we move that consonant over to the beginning of the next word. So all of this is consonants moving over. So messed up and accidentally. So this word accidentally, the same thing happens as originally. Accidentally. Or I can cut a syllable. Accidentally. So I'm cutting this one here. It's like we're cutting these syllables just to make life easier, okay? Originally, accidentally. I can cut these syllables. And accidentally, put 1 year on the form. So here I've not highlighted it, but you might have noticed that when I read it slowly, I probably connected it. I probably did. So I can connect these. Again, we're just going up here back to that linking R. So naturally, I want to link it together. Yes, as we've got it in, what's it called? Little quotation marks here, speech marks, whatever. I don't necessarily have to connect it because I'm putting a pause there. I want to put emphasis on this. So I can say, the coordinator messed up and accidentally put 1 year on the form. So you see how it can be read in two different ways. Messed up and accidentally put 1 year on the form. Messed up and accidentally put 1 year on the form. Naturally, I want to link it, but just know that it can be linked. It depends how you read it, whether you want to put the stress on the 1 year part or not. And then on the form. Students used to ask me. So this here, I don't, for some reason, connect this with students used to. So here I can change this s and ya to a sh. When I was reading it, I didn't really do that, but I'm just highlighting it to say that you might hear some people doing it, okay? Students used to. So it becomes like a sh sound. So I just wanted to bring that up. So the other students used to, or the other students used to. I'm going to connect those together. Used to. We can also remove this da. Used to. Notice that it just goes from st to t. Used to ask. So we're going to change this to a more of an oo sound, or like an oo. Doesn't matter, they pretty much sound the same when they're at the end here. And we're going to link this with a w sound. So we're changing it from a t to an oo, because our next word starts with a vowel sound. So used to ask. Now notice how I say this when I say the rest of the sentence. Used to ask me. So I'm cutting this k here. Used to ask me. Same thing as what's going on up here. Consonant, T, consonant. But you'll notice, what, Emma? We don't have a T here. So this can happen with certain consonant clusters. So with k in this case, we've got sk. Ask can become as. Yes, it sounds like that. But to ask me, I can cut that k in certain consonant clusters. And it would work the same if I even had the word asked. Sorry, I'm writing with my mouse. It looks like a child has written this. But anyway, I can say asked, or I can say asked. And I can cut that there. And I can cut that k. So, to ask me. To ask me if I... So here we're going to link it with that y again. Me if. With that yif. Then we take the f, move it over, because the next word starts with a vowel. Me if I. Used to ask me if I wanted to, connect together, wanted to go out with a w, go out. But I, We're going to move that over. But I didn't want to. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're going to connect them together. 1, 2. Or you could say it's removed, you know, technically. 1, 2. But anyway, they are connected. Now we're on to the third paragraph. So, in the second semester, in the second semester, connect those together, remove the D. It's the same as what's going on up here with consonant T, consonant, consonant D, consonant, and so on. In the second semester, I decided to make, remember not decided to, we're using weak forms. I decided to make some friends, some friends. I decided to make some friends with some. So this here, this with, it actually has two different ways to pronounce it depending on the sound that comes after. So if the next word starts with a voiced sound, so if I say like with Emma, creative, I went to the shop with Emma, then this here would be with the voiced th, because Emma starts with a voiced sound, with a vowel. All vowels in English are voiced. This here is a voiceless sound. There's no vibration, no voicing. So we can actually change this to a th sound. With some. Some friends with some local Catalan girls. So I'm doing the same thing as I did back up here, wherever it was, where I changed that Catalan to Catalan. Catalan girls. So this here gets changed to an ung. Local Catalan girls. They y'all. This gets changed to a ya. They y'all show. All show. So that all is what we call a dark L. We have two types of L in English. La, like lucky, and all, like in fall, where we hold it. Here's a dark L. So we're going to hold it, and then we move it to the sh. By it, I mean the tongue. So they all all they all show me. We're going to change this duh to more of a b sort of sound, like a b, a m. Show me. So I'm not saying like show me, but show me. They all show me some. So you see how it works when it's in natural speech. When it's slowed down, it sounds super weird. And when I tell students about this, even native speakers, they're like, I don't speak like that. And then I get them to say certain phrases and they're like, oh yes, I did change it. So when you slow it down, it sounds super weird. But when you say it all at normal speed, it does start to make a bit more sense. They all showed me some interesting. We'll move this over. Some interesting. They all show me some interesting things about. We're moving that over. About the. Interesting things about the. Culturen. We've just got that normal linking R there. Culturen. Remove that duh, because and is not important. Poor little and. And I really enjoy. We've got that linking ya again because we're connecting those two vowels together. If you're not sure about these rules with linking vowels like w, ya, and r, like this one up here, I do have a full video all about it with an analysis. Enjoy my. We're going to change this to again more like a b sound. Now, I'm saying b, but we're not releasing it as a b. It's like with the thing I looked at before with the showed me. I don't say show me, but show me. This is the same. Enjoy my. And I really enjoyed my second semester. We're going to cut this, join these together. So all together. The culture and I really enjoyed my second semester. After my year was up, I had to, so was up, we're taking that z and moving it over because it's consonant vowel linking. I had to move back to England with that w sound, to wing. And this sound here, a lot of students say like England because they see a n in there, an n, so they're like England, but it's an okay? To wing, England. Here we're going to cut this. So we're going, I had to move back to England to. So you notice how I'm not saying England to or England to, but England to finish my degree. So remember, we're using weak forms, not England to, England to. Now, 10 years later, we've got that nya again. Where was it? 10 years ago, 10 years later, years later. We're connecting those together. My tongue is transitioning between that z and l, later. Now, 10 years later, I'm back. So we're not saying I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, okay? I'm back in Spain, in Spain. So notice that my tongue isn't moving, not in Spain, in Spain. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying connected speech. I'm back in Spain and living. So these here, Spain and living, and living, and living. I'm back in Spain and living in, we're moving that over, living in my, so it's the same as what's going on up here with first time in my life. Living in my dream city, Barcelona. What I now recommend you do.
Do you sometimes find it difficult to pronounce words like trip, drip, and strip? Are the combinations TR, DR, and STR difficult for you to pronounce? Would you like me to teach you a little trick to make it easier to pronounce them? Hello and welcome back to Pronunciation with Emma, or welcome if you're brand new to my channel. In this English pronunciation lesson, I'm going to teach you a little trick to make it easier to say words that start with TR, DR, and STR in English. Before we start, remember to download your free English pronunciation pack. The English pronunciation pack includes materials that will help you see instant results in your pronunciation. It includes 10 of my best English pronunciation videos, a short story with audio, and a PDF booklet containing the most commonly mispronounced words by English learners so you can avoid making those mistakes as well. It also teaches you how to assess your own pronunciation to find your own mistakes and correct them. So it teaches you a very important life skill that you can use for the rest of your life. The link to download your free pronunciation pack is in the description of this video. Now let's start with the lesson. We're going to begin with the combination TR and how to pronounce it. Now, as promised, I said I would teach you a little trick to make it easier to pronounce this. But let's talk about what many English learners usually say. A common problem is that English learners try to pronounce the T and the R separately. So in a word like this one, it sounds like terrain, because you're pronouncing the T and the R separately. But what I want you to do is not pronounce them separately. I want you to change that T sound into a ch, okay? Like in choose, cheese, choice, okay? We're going to combine that with the R, so it becomes train. Now, if you're thinking, oh my God, Emma, do people actually say this? Do people actually say train with a ch sound? Yes, they do, especially in the UK. We call this assimilation. So if you want the technical word to go and have a look at it more online or to take a look at my other videos about it, then this is what it's called. Assimilation. Assimilation is basically when you get two sounds together and they change to make it easier to transition to the next sound. So it's a changing of sounds. That's basically what assimilation is. And we use assimilation to make it easier to pronounce words or connect words or transition between sounds. So let's practice with some more words. We'll start with that first one again, the one that we just looked at. Train. Notice I'm pronouncing the R at the same time. Train. Truth. Try. Travel. Tree. Trick. So make sure that you're pronouncing that ch and r together. tr, tr. You're not pronouncing it separately like chur, like churrain. Train, train. Now let's practice these words in sentences. Listen and repeat. I take the train to work. I take the train to work. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Let's try again. Let's try again. We love to travel. We love to travel. Look at that tree. Look at that tree. Freya's going now. You're probably thinking, there's a tree. That was a clever trick. That was a clever trick. Now let's move on to the pronunciation of D and R at the start of words. This is very similar to T and R, but this time we're going to add some vibration here. So instead of saying tr, we're going to say dr, dr. To know if you're doing vibration or not, just put your hand here on your throat and you should be able to feel it vibrating. So if we take the word drain, drain, we're pronouncing it with that j sound. Drain, drain. Careful that you're not separating that d and r again, so not drain and not gerain, but drain, drain. You're pronouncing them at the same time, both that d and that r, or that j and that r. So let's practice in some words together. Draw, draw, drink, drink, drip, drip, drill, drill, dress, dress, and finally, dream, dream. Now let's practice saying these words in sentences. Can you draw me a picture? Can you draw me a picture? I need to drink some water. I need to drink some water. The tap has a slow drip. The tap has a slow drip. We need to drill a hole in the wall. We need to drill a hole in the wall. She wore a blue dress. She wore a blue dress. I had a strange dream. I had a strange dream. Finally, let's look at the combination of str at the start of words. This is pronounced in a similar way to what we did with T and R. So string becomes string. So we're not changing the S stays the same, but the T and R change to the ch sound. String, string. Now let's practice this in some words. The first one, strange, strange. Be careful that you're not adding vowel sounds before or in between any of the sounds. So you're not saying strange or strange, okay? Strange, strange. Street, street. Strong, strong. Stretch, stretch. String, string. Stroll, stroll. Now let's practice these in sentences. What's that strange noise? What's that strange noise? We walked down the main street. We walked down the main street. She is strong enough to lift the heavy box. She is strong enough to lift the heavy box. Take a moment to stretch before you start jogging. Take a moment to stretch before you start jogging. I need a piece of string to tie this package. I need a piece of string to tie this package. Let's take a leisurely stroll through the park. Let's take a leisurely stroll through the park. Now let's finish the lesson with a quick pronunciation exercise. I'm going to read 3 words starting with TR, DR and STR very slowly, and then I will build up the speed. I'd just like you to listen and repeat. Train, drain, strain. Train, drain, strain. Train, drain, strain. Train, drain, strain. Trip, drip, strip. Trip, drip, strip. Trip, drip, strip. Trip, drip, strip. Jump, jump, jump.